1, 2, 3.
Okay, give me another 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
All right, great.
What gets me is the age. When I look at the data, I'm always struck by the patient's age. And sometimes there's really young patients, and those are the ones I notice. And it's these people, you immediately know what they're going through. They have cancer, and you can see their treatment history, and you're looking at a biomarker measurement, but that means they got a blood test, and like the conversations they must be having with their family, and what they must be thinking. I mean, I actually do cry sometimes when I think about it.
Goes back to like 1992 and 93. I just noticed there was a lot of data. It wasn't perfect data by any means, but we would use it. Once we began to sort of try to scale it a little bit more, then you began to get the very appropriate business questions like, is this really worth it? Is it really that valuable?
How long did the patient live? Did they progress on their therapy? So it took over 4 years to answer the question of whether OC was better than the standard of care, and that's just not good enough for our patients. We need better therapies, and we need better therapies faster.
It's all been disappointing. Because it was obvious in the 70s where it could go, and it just has taken forever, and medicine is lagging behind most other industries now. If you have to create a parallel universe of data and collect data separately for a clinical trial, and it's causing a lot of potentially good therapies to be put on the shelf.
I wanted to go faster. I can't stand it when things don't work, especially on behalf of patients. I've got sick people sitting right in front of me, and I've got to figure out how do I help take care of them, and there's got to be a better system of learning what to do. How do you reorganize the infrastructure of data that sits underneath the surface? How do you clean up the electronic health record?
Quality data that has the variables that you need, the biomarkers, the stage of disease, the treatments, when did they start, when did they stop? Did the day that we think they had a progression of their disease, was at the right date when they had it?
How they're being sequenced, what type of drugs are they on, what type of side effects happen when it's combined with this drug and this. It could be hypothesis forming, and then you go back and you do a clinical trial and maybe even identify new novel uses that you hadn't thought of.
We would say, you know, patients with X mutation might do particularly well. And we think this mutation might happen in 10% of squamous cell lung cancer patients, for example. And we actually started doing trials where we screened all patients with squamous cell lung cancer. And it took years, and we still never got the numbers of patients that we needed. We may only be able to gather 50 cases, 40 cases, but it's the only way to gather 50 patients. The power of it's extraordinary.
At Flatiron, we have really focused on making sure that the characteristics of the data sets themselves are of adequate quality to meet the expectations of the FDA and other regulators, because we know that if we can hit that bar, which we call regulatory grade, then we can also use the same data set for all kinds of other purposes.
I absolutely believe this is a game changer. What I'm seeing a shift is actually being able to use that data now more in the early stage of development, identifying targets.
I think we're still kind of on the frontier where it's not like this is the established way to do something. And so every time you see answers lining up, despite taking slightly different approaches or with slightly different data sources, that makes me feel more comfortable.
Here's what the raw real-world data looks like. And then we analyze the data taking into account that list of criteria. The lines match up almost perfectly.
If you show a real-world Kaplan-Meier curve, exactly overlay a clinical trial curve in an audience with statisticians and data scientists in it, you get lots of noises coming from the audience, like oohs and ahs. So
I don't think data science usually gets people going, but you never know.
To continue to innovate the way we have in healthcare, all stakeholders, the government, physicians, the pharmaceutical industry, payers, everybody has to come together. We have to talk and we have to collaborate, and I'm hopeful we can do that.
I think we'll see regulators around the world not just saying, hey, what other data is available, to a layer of demand. If you don't have it, why don't you have it, and I expect you to have it.
The distorted view of regulatory quality that some people have causes companies to spend tens of millions of dollars doing totally unnecessary extra cleanup of data that doesn't help at all. So finding that sweet spot of just good data, whether it's regulatory or to help people make better decisions, I think is the key.
That's it.
Push everyone. Lean out. Don't just kind of go back and play it safe and try and do drug development the way we've always done it. Maintain the rigor. I think we can accelerate. I think that patient who's waiting next door or that parent, they're going to appreciate that.
Are you an optimist?
I'm an optimist. I'm an oncologist, so I better be an optimist. As an oncologist and an optimist, it means that I can see a future that's better for every cancer patient.
Nice to meet you. All right.
Thank you.